This is an update on Christmas in Windsor and the changes that were made to it. You'll notice in the black that if you registered between March 1st and March 7th, your information may have been lost. We had an issue with the hosting service, and we had to move our website to another provider. So that's done and everything's working now. Still at christmasinwindsor.com. The enhancements we have made to the original installation begin on the public page here where people can come in. They can click on venue. That's a new navigation option on the left side of the screen. Click on that and it brings up an image of the rec center and the booth numbers. That way, if you have a friend who wants to look for your specific booth, you can tell them the booth number and they can go here and get a map of where you would be in the rec center. But once you've done that, then the rest of the changes come, the vendor pages, which you click on reserve booths. And as in the past, you'll log in, look at the links. The ones that have been added are going to be vendor fees. Another link is how to become a vendor. We've got another link for add or remove vendors to your booth, and a link to delete your account if you no longer want to be part of Christmas in Windsor. Now, a couple other enhancements to note are that when you want to reserve a booth, it will automatically tell you now at the top of the page the booths you have reserved. And the wait list is another enhancement that we have. If you want to add yourself to the wait list, you go to update your information, and at the very top now there will be a checkbox. Check it if you want to be put on the wait list. Scroll down and save your information. It will add you to the wait list. But for the purposes of this, we don't want to do that. There's also a line here, a checkbox. If you were in the last show, check here if you want the same booth. That's going to be implemented after the show in 2022, so it's not enabled right now. And there's a message at the bottom in green that says that this feature is not enabled yet. It's in the green. And it's not really an error, it's just a notification to you. Another option that you have, or when you go to the pages, the rooms, and look at the rooms when there's a lot of vendors already have reserved space, it takes a lot of time to show up, and people sometimes get frustrated waiting. So what we do now is provide a working message to let you know that we're actually working on it and not to get excited and try to re-enter something. So let's go and reserve booths again. Let's look at the gym, for example. Now you'll see a flashing, at the bottom of the screen, a flashing word that says working, and when it's done, it'll actually show it. So you'll know that we're actually working on displaying the information. This happens a number of different places, but mainly here when you're trying to display a room that has a lot of reservations already in it. Another enhancement is that we're performing more checks on the format of entered email. We had a number of people enter email incorrectly because they were in a hurry. So we're doing more checks. And down the road, we'll also require a second entry of the email address so we can compare them again to make sure that the email address is entered as you want it to be, as it needs to be. It has to be correct. Those are the enhancements. So let's go back to the pages that we added. We added one for vendor fees. Click on vendor fees and it just brings up a page that shows the different fees that costs for being part of Christmas in Windsor. How to become a vendor, that was another added link. It goes through the same steps that you find in the help. When you click on help, you can get the same information, but here it's a direct display because a lot of people want to know, how do I become a vendor? Now, what we've added also is an add and remove vendor button. Okay, the vendor now has booth 1 reserved. He's paid for the booth. Now let's go to add remove vendor. Here it says your booth is 1. If you didn't have a booth reserved, it would give you an error message and saying you can't add a vendor to a booth if you don't have one reserved. So booth 1 is reserved. Vendor is currently added to your booth. It's none. So now you want to add a vendor. Oh, you can't add a vendor until you've entered the email. You want to enter the email address used by the vendor you want to add. That vendor has to have been registered on our site. So this person is Tim at to.com. He should have been registered by that name. Now I can click add a vendor. And it says vendor added to our booth. So now you can see that he's selected. If you come here to the add remove page, it shows you the Tim, so it shows you his first name, last name, and his email address. So he's now added to your booth. And the reason we do this is the town requires all vendors who are showing or selling crafts at the Christmas and Windsor Craft Show. The town needs to know that vendor's contact information because the town is getting taxes from all the vendors. Now, if you added a vendor to your booth, you may want to at some point remove him from your booth. Maybe you decide that lady's not supposed to be in your booth anymore, and you can come over here, select him. See right now the vendor booth, remove vendor. While the pointer's on there, it's not enabled. You can click it all you want, and it won't do anything. But when you select the vendor that's been added to your booth, it updates the email address, and then you can click Remove Vendor. And it says vendor has been removed from your booth. So that vendor is no longer part of your booth. The next link we've provided for all the vendors is one to delete your account. If you can create an account and you no longer want to receive emails or want to be connected with Christmas and Windsor, you can come out here and you can delete your account. But now notice there is an error message here. It says you have booths reserved. Number 1, you cannot delete your account. First have Quality Crafters release your reserved booth. If you have a booth reserved, you obviously can't delete your account until you work that out with Quality Crafters. Now this vendor no longer has a booth reserved. Quality Crafters has released him from the reserving of the booth. Now if you click delete your account, it comes back and asks you for sure, do you really want to delete? Say yes. And it does it and brings you back to the public page saying you're gone. So those are the enhancements that have been made to the website.